Hello, thank you for visiting. It's Glenn Lyvers with some of my favorite poets. Very small group today, and we're very lucky to have every single one of us here. Um, Please feel free to visit Prolific Press, shop for your favorite books, and if you're interested in any of these particular poets, almost all of them, I think, probably have books and references, and you can reach out to me and I will send you in their direction. I hope you enjoy the show. We're going to start with Bob Moreland, please.
Okay. I'm Bob Moreland. I am from Carroll Beach, Pleasant Prairie, Wisconsin. We live about 100 yards from Lake Michigan on a 500-acre prairie. Uh, the flag behind me is Ukraine. No, I won't read any Ukrainian poems this morning, but your Ukrainian language lesson is Slava Ukraini, and the answer is Honorum Slava, translated glory to Ukraine, glory to the heroes. My first poem is a nonet, but I'm not going to share my screen, but just for the fun of it. This is called Land of the Colorblind. Land of the Colorblind. See them every day, the same routine, heads down, going to jobs they hate, come home to their land of want, choking in mounds of debt. One more purchase buy, someday retire, to the rest that never comes. How can they never see the beauty blossoming around weary feet? God's own symphony singing, glory of the spheres playing. Life's bounty, a rose, goldfinch singing, sun dappled morning rich. I praise you, Abba Father, as the sun rises above the great lake, cloudless sky, painted canvas, waves caressing the shore. You surround me, bathing me in lavish grace. Thank you.
Lavish Grace.
And it's October. I didn't have any Halloween poems, but this one will bring back memories. And my entire tiny Northeast Louisiana high school class is on Facebook, so they'll like it. This is called Friday Night Lights. Smoke smell of leaves in the autumn air means it's now high school football season. We cheer our small town giants, 1 and 3, for spirit. 36 of us were the band. Faithfully, we play the outdated fight song, halftime shows sparse with our 36 plus souls, 3 majorettes, and our proud drum major. After the first half, it's our time to shine. Loaded on the old yellow school buses, we traveled the northeast part of the state. We sang ourselves hoarse on the way, school songs, the best of times, but we didn't know it then. 5 decades fade, burning leaves on the wind, the smell of fall. We yell for the hometown team, the band marches. Young men collide with groans. Fourth quarter hope for the score to win again. Thank you. And the last one, and we won't be dark today. This is called Amber Waves. And there are all kinds of noises. You've heard the dog, the cockatiel. Everybody's getting into it. Okay, let me put that somewhere it doesn't fit. Amber Waves. Across the vast amber expanse, the wind conducts a ballet, and winter wheat dancers respond to ancient music bittersweet. To and fro, radiant synchrony, the masses perform unbridled, firmly anchored by earthly roots, alight in golden sunshine. For I too am like winter wheat, as from tiny seed to grow and reach heavenward to dance, a bliss life's bittersweet tune. I know not when the harvest comes, dance of wind forever done. Instead, I dance on God's time, the best I can with all I have. The life abundant is promised in him who danced through death, yet bore the ills of us all, so we could dance with God. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Very, very nice collection of poems today. Appreciate that. Um, I'm going to do my reading at the top of the video here because I want to point my dad in this direction and he might have trouble finding me in the mix. So um, let me share my screen so you can see what I see. And this is for my father, who is still alive and uh, a poetry lover. And this was the poem that he read to me as a child that it scared me a lot. James Whitcomb Riley, it's in the public domain, so it's okay to do here. Little Orphaned Annie. Little orphaned Annies come to our house to stay and wash the cups and saucers up and brush the crumbs away and shoo the chickens off the porch and dust the hearth and sweep and make the fire and bake the bread and earn her board and keep. And all us other children, when the supper things is done, we sit around the kitchen fire and have the mostest fun and listen to the witch tales that Annie tells about. And the goblins'll get you if you don't watch out. Once there was a little boy who wouldn't say his prayers, so when he went to bed at night, away upstairs, his mammy heard him holler, and his daddy heard him bawl, and when they turned the kivers down, he wasn't there at all. And they seeked him in the rafter room and cubby hole and press, and seeked him up the chimney flue and everywheres, I guess. But all they ever found was thist his pants and roundabout, and the goblins'll get you if you don't watch out. And one time, a little girl who'd allus laugh and grin and make fun of everyone and all her blood and kin. And once, when they was company and old folks was there, she mocked 'em and shocked 'em and said she didn't care. And this as she kicked her heels and turned to run and hide, there was two great big black things standing by her side, and they snatched her through the ceiling, for she knowed what she's about, and the goblins'll get you if you don't watch out. And little orphaned Annie says, when the blaze is blue, and the lamp wick sputters, and the wind goes woo, and you hear the crickets quit, and the moon is gray, and the lightning bugs and dew is all squenched away. You better mind your parents and your teachers fond and dear, and cherish them that loves you, and dry the orphan's tear, and help the poor needy ones that cluster all about, or the goblins'll get you if you don't watch out. I'm not as dramatic as my father. I don't have the timbre that he has in his voice, but That scared the crap out of me when I was little. The second poem is my own. It's called "The Boogeyman Plays the Marimba." One thing you might want to know about this is that I was in Mexico in 2009 studying Spanish and living down there in Oaxaca, and the Zocalo is this square in the center of the town where there's a party every night. They really know how to do it. I mean, you go there every single night and there's a party going on. You know, there's vendors selling stuff and musicians and everything, and it's really, really cool. This particular poem is probably one of the most famous poems that I've ever written because it's been anthologized a gazillion times. I still get letters from people asking, "Can we print that?" And yeah, go ahead. It's an interesting thing that people like this. I think kids like it, and it's the sing-songy, which is not my style, but you never know what's going to hit with people. So it's called "The Boogeyman Plays the Marimba." Nobody ever asks why they call him the Boogeyman. It's because he has music in his soul. You can find him playing the marimba in the Zocalo in the evenings. He is not menacing children. When he is, though, terrorizing the innocent, he does so with style. He peeks his head out of open closets, riffing booga, booga, diddly dooga, boom, boom, boom. When the children cover their heads and cry out for daddy, he falls in tempo with their screams. Daddy! Fappity diddly skiddly dee. Until there's a perfect mix of harmony on the long E. And then when Daddy appears, he slips back into the darkness, still riffing in his head. He pops out and then into another room with another bed. At daybreak, he changes into his sneakers again, his boogie shoes, and he taps his foot while he plays the marimba, rolling his hips, all day shuffling, riffing, foot tapping, until it's time again when he pops out to boogie scare and boogie harmonize with the screams of the boogie terrified. He is the boogeyman, and he has music in his soul. That's an old one. I wrote that one quite a while back. Okay, let's move on. Thank you for that. Edward Ahern, please. Need to unmute yourself, my friend. There you
Here
are.
I am. Okay, damn, that took a while. Okay, here we come. As I say, these three poems are short and recent. The first one I did on kind of a lark. You can read it top to bottom or bottom to top. It really doesn't matter. The meaning, I think, is about the same. No redeeming social value. It's called Incendiary Diligence. Flicker, flicker, conflagration. See what a kitchen match can do. With a splish splash of gasoline. No time to cheer the flames. Duty bound to arsenate anew. Must keep the home fires burning. And if we flip it around, must keep the home fires burning. Duty bound to arsenate anew. No time to cheer the flames. With a splish splash of gasoline, see what a kitchen match can do. Flicker, flicker, conflagration. Kind of fun. This next was written as a to a prompt for a micro poem. It's sort of a bastard haiku or something. I don't know. I call it sublimation. It kind of describes myself. I take the greatest pleasure when there is no purpose other than the thing of itself, and nonsense governs the rules. And this last one, I did write for Halloween. Some of you know I work with Bewildering Stories, and this is actually going to be up on Monday there. It's one of my Halloween efforts. It's called The Approaching Front. Thunder rumbled through the neighborhood, drowning out those attempting reassurance. The darkling air turned the pastel house colors into sickly staging for ominous performance. Lightning rode the black horizon toward them, and the air smelled of damp and dank and ozone. Those outside worriedly abandoned their tasks and, not quite running, retreated indoors to hide. Those inside clustered, holding their fears close, for a storm's capricious harm is unknowable, and it cares nothing for the houses of men.
That's a strong ending on that. I like that. Boy, that got a little punch to it. I think everybody felt that, didn't you? That was nice.
Okay.
Okay. All right, let's go to Marcus Benjamin Ray Bradley.
Thank you, Glenn. I'm shamelessly promoting my first ever book that I'm very proud of. I sent a copy to Glenn. I put the link in the chat. The idea here was about the Beatles, which I'm a huge fan and a musician. They have characters in their songs. If you think about Sergeant Pepper or Jude or something like that. And I took on persona poems to maybe think about their point of view, maybe their backstory or something like that, right? So that's the collection. Um, I have a second one almost finished. So if this sells anything at all, we'll do another one. I'm going to share my screen. By the way, I did thank you, Glenn, in my acknowledgments for being
Yeah,
so
I
kind
saw
to
that.
my non-Beatles poems over the years.
Thank you. Thank you for acknowledging me. It's always such an honor.
I had some artwork done, kind of what they might look like. And the first one I'll read is about the song Paperback Writer. And in front of the poems is a little bit of a synopsis of what the character might be like based on the lyrics. So this one is a wannabe author encloses a polite letter with his manuscript sent to a publisher for consideration. He explains that it has taken him years to write. What he admits is a long, dirty story, but he goes on to say he's open to any and all suggested edits. Anything to get the paperback novel into print, as his real goal is to write for a living. While predicting that it will be a bestseller, he also anticipates rejection, asking the publisher to return the manuscript if need be, presumably so it can be sent to the next publisher on his list. So, if you're familiar with the song, Dear Sir or Madam, will you read my book? It took me years to write. Will you take a look? I'll explain this going into it. There was the Beatles auditioned for Decca Records on New Year's Day, 1962, and they were rejected. So that may or may not come up in the poem. The poem is called Dear Sir or Madam. I offer up this manuscript for your perusal, to lay upon it your trained and seasoned eye. It is quite a weighty tome containing wildly beguiling characters galore, the most vivid descriptions of locales, and dialogue with a level of intrigue not yet seen or heard in this century. You'll get so lost within these pages that you'll emerge needing a haircut and looking around for fingernail clippers, but feeling like an honors college graduate. Both my debut and my magnum opus, it could win the National Book Award, Pulitzer Prize, and be optioned for a movie. And you are the lucky reader that will be the first to experience its magic. This is a great opportunity for you alone, dare I say, a once-in-a-lifetime event. I hope for your sake it isn't squandered. You don't want to be remembered like that poor numbskull at Decca Records.
Oh, that's great. Yeah, I'm gonna have to really dig into these. That is fantastic.
Thank you.
If you could share the screen and do another one, I'd love that.
I'll try to find the next one. Let's see. There's Sergeant Pepper. We're going to move on. Just because it's this group, I'm going to do one about Martha, My Dear, a great little ditty that Paul wrote about his sheepdog. Just a sec. I'll let you read ahead. So, Paul loved his dog Martha. In the lyrics, she's his inspiration. He calls her my dear, my love. He doesn't want her to forget him. Hold your head up, you silly girl, see what you've done. I think the incident in particular was she had made a mess in the house. So, but I took that in a different angle to write about why we do this thing, poetry. This is called Help Yourself. If something is beautiful and no one ever realizes it, is it still a thing of beauty? It's an artist's job to see. You can think like a painter that isn't in it for the glory, but only wants to create something pure and good. There's so much inspiration all around every one of us, whether it be the planet itself or the people that live on it. The poet's awareness is high because they are searching all the time for something to spark the mind's creation. So please don't forget to keep your head held high and take a look around. See what you've done?
Very nice. Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
All right. I think that well, here's the book. If anybody comes across this video and would like more information on this, then reach out to me and I'll get you in touch with Marcus Benjamin Ray Bradley. And yeah, obviously it's a great book already. We haven't even just scratched the surface. So very, very well done, sir.
Thank you.
Linda.
Hi, everybody. Here I am in Kansas, and it's rained all night, and it's still raining. Boy, but it's not too cold, so we're doing okay. I have two Halloweeny ones this time. First one's called Velvet Painting. An odds and ends store on the edge of town. In it resides a most unusual creation. Upstairs in the corner, almost hidden from view, as if meant for my eyes only. Painted on black velvet, a life-size skeleton seated on the chair, right ankle resting on left thigh, a jaunty physical presence, perfectly posed for camera or painter's eye, as if in need of a top hat and tails. Face slightly angled, all smile, as if with a secret to share. Toothsome, wide grin, normally hidden behind soft lips and a heart-shaped chin. There is no artist's name on this macabre object d'art. Its creation, perhaps the artist's deliberate act at consternation, perhaps was not humored by an overabundance of Elvises and landscapes. Its present home seems well suited, almost as if being surrounded by commonplace objects has made it less glaring and repellent. Here in this niche, a tucked-in canvas, maybe the next patron will be more voyeuristic and require its presence closer to home. Painter statement or joke, who can tell? You. Next one is called Burying My Cat. The storm raged and left, so the forest ground is soft. I imagine all the bones to be found in 5 years' time. But I always knew he did not want to be dead, and as his meows echo through the air, I am called to follow him to our mutual end. Thank you.
That mutual end is such a it felt like it was going to be something else, and then it kind of went to that point. And we always think of that, don't we? We
Yeah.
just have that whenever we lose, pets. They're so important.
Yeah.
They're just as important as people in our lives for many of us. And yeah, we just when anybody leaves and goes on, there's this part of us that kind of wants to go there,
Mm-hmm.
and we don't talk about it, but
Yep.
it's the thing of poets, right?
Yep.
Poets talk about it. Very well done.
Thank you.
Lynette Esposito, please. To unmute yourself.
Did that do it?
Yep, there you are.
Hi. Hi, this is Lynette Esposito from Mount Laurel, New Jersey, a known feline lover. I wrote this little poem that was published, and I kind of like it. By the wayside. Discarded, the black and white kitten lay in mud by the roadside, indistinguishable from the dark dirt blended into the landscape. It lifted its heavy head to look around, but for an odd coincidence of my need to take a walk, this tiny thing was found, lost, alone. I bent down, my knees in the wet, my hands dirty with the rescue. And here it is, to some, an unimportant life pulled from the muck. For me, a miracle to find a friend this way.
That's nice.
And that was written for my kitty Sadie, who was found abandoned at midnight in front of my son's house. And nobody in the family would take her, and I couldn't let her go into the system. So here she is in my house, little black and white tuxedo cat. And I did write a Halloweeny poem because it's October. The Witch in the Moon. Look up, they say, look up. Shadows creep as silent ghosts traverse the fog. Goblins sing lyrics I can almost hear. Look up, they rasp, look up. The witch is silhouetted in the moon, like a shadow come alive. She tosses her black hair and dances with her broom. The man in the moon shines his light on this lovely woman, silhouetted on his ballroom floor, and wishes his arms could embrace her in a waltz. Look up, look up. And that's it.
Very nice. Thank you very much for that. Peter. Make sure you introduce yourselves, you guys, please.
Right. Hello, Peter J. King. Am I coming over?
Yes, sounds good.
Oh, right. Because my picture is still tiny up there. Okay. And I'm in Churchill in Oxfordshire, in the Oxfordshire Cotswolds, and it's dark and windy out there. I didn't think to do any Halloween poems, but I think all the ones I've read are in my new book, so you can just buy that. Instead, as it's coming up to Remembrance Sunday, I thought I'd do some war poems. So I'll just share my screen. Okay. So the first one, called 1914, was set off by a book, a very good book. I recommend it, The Secret Rooms by Catherine Bailey. There's one passage in that set me off. In September 1914, a man had to stand 5'8" to get into the army. A month later, so great was the need for recruits, the minimum height requirement was lowered to 5'5". In November, after the losses sustained in the First Battle of Ypres, it was lowered again to 5'3". So 1914. August. When war broke out, I stood too short. They shook their heads, showed me the door. I sat at home and fretted that I wasn't 5'8". October. As thousands died, they changed their minds. I tried again, but still too short. I cycled home and fretted that I wasn't 5'5". November. But things were bad along the front. Third time's a charm. They shook my hand, and I embarked in khaki drab, a manly 5'3". December. I fell for good at Plug Street Wood. Our guns or theirs, I wasn't sure. My legs were shattered by a shell, and struggling for one last breath amid the sounds and smells of hell, I fretted that I'd meet my death, too short once more. The next one, this is also set off by something I read. Before the First World War, various people knew it was coming, and one person in Yorkshire decided that they were going to need carters and wagoners. And so he approached all the wagoners in his area and, in fact, around the country. And for £1, which at the time was quite a lot of money for people like that, they agreed that if war came, they would serve. And because they thought it was a bit of a joke, money for nothing, this was called taking the silly quid. And war came, and they found it wasn't quite so silly after all. So this is called All Flesh is Grass. The brothers took the silly quid, then drove their teams back home. A windfall, 3 months' wages near enough for doing bugger all. War came, and all the world was filled with moral wrath. The priests and vicars, rabbis, imams, preached the rightness of their country's causes. Guns and poison gas were blessed, and horrors told about the other side. The brothers and their horses went up to the front and harvested fresh nightmares, piled their wagons high with new-mown flesh, built bloody haystacks in the mud of France. One brother made it home, the horses slaughtered in a foreign field. He met his waiting mother, limped into her sad embrace, whose pressure on his bandaged chest brought scarlet blossoms to the coarse white cloth. And finally, a short one, something that has occurred to me occasionally, thinking back to the letters that wives and mothers got to tell them that their loved one was dead. This is called Butcher's Bills. Would wars be shorter if instead of solemn notices when loved ones fell, our letterboxes rattled with a sick parade of letters giving details of our loved ones' kills? Thank you.
There's definitely a place for those poems. They're sometimes they're hard to you don't want to experience them, but you love it for the poem. You know, the it's so well written that overall you have this experience of you read this beautiful poem, but then the message of the poem it fights against that because you just your heart just it, that the World War I one with the carts, that one was particularly hard. Very, very well
Strangely,
done.
it's the first one. Whenever I've read that at readings, I find myself close to tears towards the end. I don't know why. It's not a particular reference to me or to people I've known, but it always gets me the first one.
Yeah, well, no tears in the writer, no tears in the reader, you know. It's this thing that in a few classes that I took way back, it's called falling into the poem. The poet or the writer lives in that poem, and so they relive it every time. And you know, I've got pieces that I can't even read out loud because they break me. So I wrote them for me, not for anything. So we have those too. Um,
Peter, can
okay,
I ask
well,
you,
yeah, go ahead.
sorry, can I ask Peter about the second poem, the spacing?
Oh,
I've only
just
done it a couple of times ever, but I saw it as effective and I was curious about your intent.
I'm glad it worked. To be honest, most of my poems are spaced in various ways on the page. The other two are the unusual ones. Um, it's mainly there's this huge page. Seems a pity to squash it all up on the left. I like to use it all. That's really why. And sometimes I do use the spacing to echo things that are in the poem, but sometimes it's just because I like the look of it.
Yeah, I think, academically speaking, the white space is meant to delay, and to take different pieces and sort of allow them to sort of float in this space as a unit. And I use the white space a lot of times for pauses instead of using punctuation. Sometimes there's just that air to it. It's like a breath. When the person reads it, it's intended to. That's where you breathe. But it's different for everybody, and I thought it was very well done, and I like the way it laid on the page, and I think if it was all left justified, it wouldn't have been such a pleasure. Some poems that since there's so few of us here, if you don't mind, some poems I really enjoy reading more than hearing. There's something about absorbing the poem that way, seeing the enjambments and the line breaks, and it elevates it into this place. But then there's other poems that on the page they just feel flat. But then when the writer, the poet that wrote it, usually when they read it, all of a sudden it's like, wow, that's great. So they all have a different sort of feel. I try to write for the written page, and I don't think so much about how it sounds, but I think anything that Peter reads would probably sound pretty good. He'd probably make a good living narrating books, actually. The diction and the like there is quite nice. All right, James. James Bethel, please. New York. Let's have some New York flavor up in here.
How about Okie Land instead?
Yeah, Hokey Land.
Yes, thank you. Thank you, Glenn. Um, I love synchronicity. It's just I'm looking kind of glancing at what I've selected to read and realizing how much of an echo there is to everything that's gone before. Um, I am James Bethel, by the way, and I'm coming to you from my little rain-soaked cottage in Tulsa, Oklahoma. It's been raining here since Thursday and not scheduled to get out of here until late Sunday. So I think they're saying 5 to 7 inches total. At any rate, um, this first one is entitled Well Schooled. I did not receive my MFA in poetry from anywhere. I found Hiram's voice on the ground resting on a big rock. She was surrounded by quaking aspen in an October Halloween sun. This one was published in Poetry Quarterly a couple of years back, entitled Eventually October Sunday. writing, dreaming of somewhere else this bar becomes too real. Laughter mates with familiar paper, wet napkins, depression, and the onset of winter. Soggy effusions from some witch's fingernails. Last leaves from the only oak let go at the quick, flying past the window like words in Halloween songs in the minds of goblin dwarves. And one I wrote this morning, I'm still working, I'm probably going to work it over a couple of times, but thought I'd share it with you. The title is Actors Are Careful This Time of Year. The winds are swirling tonight from the east. It has the odor of that cave in the Hebrides where the witches gather. You know the ones, the three who foretold the demise of the Thane of Cawdor so accurately that years and years and yet more years after, Shakespeare immortalized them, probably on a night like this. It has become a bad omen in theater circles to even mention the Thane's name inside any holy space like a theater, except when Shakespeare commands it. Thank you. I appreciate you guys.
Thank you. Really good. Yeah, I've been learning a little bit about the theater rituals and stuff, and I got some of it from this weird. Yeah, there's this show called Only Murders in the Building. Have you guys heard of this?
Right.
And they talk about that. It's Martin Short and Steve Martin, and it's just great. It's a great show. Dennis Malsby, another war poet.
Yes, Dennis, I'm in Minnesota and also having rain all about. But in Minnesota, that's a bit better than snow. And let's see. The first one is some Halloween stuff. It was just published this month in Spillwords, a Halloween sequence. From gray-black thunderheads, witch fingers flash, split trees. Ceiling vibrates from the attic, maniacal laughter. The clock pendulum cuts the head off a mouse. Under the porch, a tangled nest of zombies. Wrapped in fog, growing louder, the rasp of claws. Bites my heel, a skull hides in the cemetery grass. Tomb lid grates open, bone dust, rotting shroud. A zombie rises. Boiled by my garlic spaghetti breath, a vampire refuses to bite. And then High Bun drifts. The bar decorations exude the scent of dry, musty parchment rather than the perfume of real pine boughs. In the background, the lyrics of Holly Jolly Christmas come across as scratchy whispers. To attract the bartender, I rattle the ice cubes in my whiskey glass like dice in a cup. The splash of the refill releases the aged Jack Daniels scent of maple syrup, vanilla, allspice, and a touch of toasty oak. In the subdued lighting, my mind drifts. Earlier today, I tried to arouse my employees' Christmas spirit. Faces soured as I offered to give the money budgeted for the annual alcohol-infused company holiday party to a charity of their choice. Greed and self-indulgence won the vote. I prepare myself for the usual bacchanalian aftermath, 1 or 2 divorces, and the birth of unplanned children. The bartender disappears. The music switches to Crosby's White Christmas. The effects of 3 shots of whiskey, no humans to distract, and the old master's lulling voice generate another drift. My mind replays a Christmas past. The province chief has called out sleeping villagers to witness the results of a failed enemy night ambush. Vehicle lights create long shadows as the bodies of two Viet Cong, young Asian farm boys dressed in black pajamas, are dumped off a 3/4-ton olive drab truck. The corpses fall and slap hard ground like bags of old jello, slack arms and legs, all vitality vivisected by death. A column of our armor and mech infantry had reversed the Kong's kill zone. In his headlights, the lead tank gunner spotted an RPG team, Center Road, planning to burn his M48. He jerked the trigger on the tank's 90mm gun loaded with canister. A slurry of granulated bone and hamburgered flesh flew off downrange to decorate the asphalt for a 1/4 mile. The 1,280 spherical steel pellets left only 2 pairs of Ho Chi Minh sandals, complete with ankles and feet upright on the center line. Fire pots and flares mark the LZ for the chopper coming in for our dead and wounded. I fight to leave the nightmare, swimming upward out of the dream's dark dimensions. December 25th, 1968. Soldiers on medevac. Plasma for Christmas. And my final one, something a little lighter. Don't know if you have all been following the 3-Eye Atlas, whatever it is, the comet or huge asteroid that's going through our solar system. There was 2 before that, and the first one was named Oumuamua. Extrasolar expedition. A beam transports me naked into an ethyl acetate-laced kill jar. Arms and legs spread, my pickled husk is pinned to a framed display. Tentacles position the exhibit on the collection wall of Starship Oumuamua with the caption, an admirable XY specimen of the primate genus Anthropos, collected on Sol 3, System 9-M246-B. The butterflies have their revenge.
There you go. All right. Thank you for that. Welcome, KB. Good to see you. Carrie Rawlingson. Unmute yourself, please. There you are.
Hi, everyone. It's Carrie Rawlinson here in Canada. It's blowy and autumny and everything's orange and red and preparing for winter. So I thought I'd do the first poem is called The Falling Leaves. The Falling Leaves. I'll see if I can share it. Oh, just a second.
For the record, there are no tariffs on poems, just so you know.
This one. Okay, here we go. The falling leaves. They drop as loudly as the crash of a kettle drum. No docile transition to autumn. You don't hear them, the falling ones, like muffled trumpets screaming. They are every leaf that succumbs in rank cacophonous camps, tumbling one by one through Wagner's Aryan airs, surrendering in percussive pyres high as Mahler's number 9, charred in lackluster yards, abandoned by liberty. In safer times, they burst into being sweetly, chlorophyll green, velvety as a lullaby, sunlight filtered by canopies caressing tender horizons, birds resting their feathers in blessing, singing to their gods of wings. Now the alien sticks left standing stiffen, pointing at strange skies. Neighborhood kids don't listen, battling on their own war-torn lawns in shrill piles of dissonance. No one mourns those who fled in darkness. No violin pavan grieves for untethered shapes cleft from icy trees. Brittle ear bones are deaf, tuned only to playing and the rhythms of yet more feeble raking. Deciding we can try and send them back to from wherever they came, we drag their nuisance into biodegradable bags and call it closure. But I hear their fugues in every field, with every fall, and I shudder at the muted sigh of music's notes decomposing. Thanks. And the next one I would like to share is was published in Iceflow Press Geographies, and I wrote it last October. And as you may recall, that's when we had some terrible times. So it's not a jolly poem. October in the year of penury. The sun is thin, dawning, her gashes closed behind the whitening hills. The mist gains weight, leaning over cities of tents and cement tunnels that lead to shooting stars. Swallowing country miles, it eats through prairie skies, oil wells, abandoned cars and motel windowsills. Take my hand, smiles the snow. I'll bury you. And the last one is a haiku. That was, I was fortunate to have published in Haiku Crush, Best Haiku Anthology for 2024. And I don't need to share it. Winter mists whisper to the lake. Wild geese obey. Poetry migrates. Winter mists whisper to the lake. Wild geese obey. Poetry migrates. And that's it. Thank you.
Thank you. I would like to note if people watch this video or go back and rewatch it, look at how that second poem that she did, how each one of those lines just works by itself. Because although you read it and you wrap to the next line in the way that you when you look at how it lays on the page, there's a different feel there, and it's quite good, Carrie. Very, very well done on that piece.
Thank you. Thank you.
Hey, B.
Thank you so much for letting me in at this late date. I haven't been home for 2 weeks, and I just walked in the door and I thought, if he lets me in, I will join. So,
You're always welcome.
well, I wasn't sure you'd notice me at this point, so I appreciate it. I've missed you guys, so it's good to be back. This poem was published in White Stag Spirit Anthology called Negative Space. Even if it's gray, open your arms wide, and when the rain falls, lift your head, open your mouth. It's not all about the eyes. It's taste and touch, sound and smell, or the absence of. The blank place that used to be us, a hole that floods my whole being. There's no color there, and with my eyes wide open, I see it all too clearly. There, just where raindrops shimmer on the overgrown grass, between leaves of witch hazel, where silver glints and spools, the place where you used to be. Thank you. And this is Scent of Autumn. It aired on It Matters Radio in 2017. It's an old one. Scent of autumn. Sky scored with rain, wine moon simmers behind clouds, an owl staining the night. Apples plump branches as gnarled as a witch's hand. Like lightning raking the sky, an unkindness of ravens bites. Rush of wings choking the cricket's sigh. Summer's cadence crescendos into silence. Weeds scratch against hickory, sassafras, golden arms stretched against the fitful light.
Oh,
Thank
that's
you.
nice.
Do I get one more?
Sure.
Okay. All right. This was published with Sheila Nagig, called All Lost Things. An agony of clouds stutters the blue, rain skipping past again. Summer's dry breath coughing clouds of dust. Each day I choke, parched in the emptiness of this room. Oaks and poplars lean, clutch their green as yellow veins through leaves. Boxwood browns and splits, hydrangeas stoop to kiss the cracked earth, bees husbanding morning dew. Gather, keep, gather and keep. Crows yap and lurk, masked in shadows until the heat swells, grass a knife edge underfoot. Even cuts won't bleed, seeds that gel obstruct my lungs. Banks of grit slip toward the shriveling lake where willows cradle Canada geese and mallards rustle cattails, webbed feet etching the dust. A trail, like the sound of stars, guiding you home.
Hmm.
Thank you.
Trail and stars, something about that just really works. Okay, well, every year we tend to fall into this pattern a little bit. Next month, November, poems about thankfulness as a central theme, but of course you don't have to follow that. And I'll do a better job in November of getting the word out. I think that still people are missing some of their emails. I'm going to do got 211 invitees on this list, and I think that I'm going to, and you have to qualify, so it's just not like an open thing. All of you guys were published and have a relationship with me and the press. So, of those 211, I'm gonna try to send personalized letters out through the next month. I'll try to do 10 of them a day and see how many I can get, and try to make next month a very special reading. So we'll see you all there. Thank you for coming. If you do enjoy and these poets, reach out to me. We'll make sure to get you in touch with them and check out Imagining All the People at Amazon. It's quite a nice book. All right, take care, you guys. Thanks for coming.